there's no patriots. There's no one who wants to put this country first. Hence why we're now giving away parts of the British territory.
Well, can I tell you the theory that I advanced yesterday? It's what I call the Djibouti theory, and we're just going to. Why don't we get that map up just to make life significantly easier of where Diego Garcia is? Because there are a number of things. What I said yesterday, and I'll make it very simple because it took me about 10 minutes to explain. Fundamentally, China wants to invade Taiwan. Right? And the only way it can invade Taiwan is if it gets access to oil. And the only way it can get access to oil is for that oil to be floated, to be taken through the Red Sea and out past the country of Djibouti, right? Or, of course, the other way, through the Suez Canal. But then sat on both sides of that is the Straits of Gibraltar, which, of course, is irrelevant to the Chinese shippers. They want to go out here. Now, what you can see from this map, it's very clear that if you want to get your oil from the Middle East to China, you have to go through the Indian Ocean. And what sits in the middle of it? The Diego Garcia military base, where high-tech planes and high-tech submarines and boats are all based because it's a natural harbour. So what's happening here is this. If China invades Taiwan, Britain, America and their allies, including Australia, who bought nuclear submarines for just this purpose, wouldn't go to Taiwan. They'd sink the Chinese oil tankers. Now, Mauritius is a vassal state, right? It's now ruled by China. It is... Diego Garcia is as close to Mauritius as London is to St. Petersburg. And so what they've done is they've said, let's give it to Mauritius so they can then give this base to China, which can then improve the opportunity of China to invade Taiwan and cause World War III. That is the biggest mistake since the loss of the Suez Canal.
Yes, you've explained it almost perfectly. What we need to understand is the Tories started this. You know, they started the discussion with Mauritius about, do you want the islands back?
Sorry, I'm going to have to stop you. When you say back, they've never had them.
Sorry, correct. It's a bit like Falklands with Argentina. Argentina never owned the Falklands. It was. So the Tories started this because most things wrong in this country were started by the Tories in the last 14 years. Labour just take it to a new level.
Yes.
And I said before about politicians not loving this country. How can you give away military bases? How can you give away lands and islands that are really important for the defence of the world and our standing in the world? And let's just say this island was a complete waste of time. There's nothing on there. It's not important and we don't need it. The answer is, well, we don't need it today. We have no idea what we need down the line. We have no idea what will be discovered near the island for us to be able to claim. This is just a Labour Party who are ideologically captured, who are trying to apologise for colonialism by giving away things we own.
And of course, the other thing is, people forget, and this is the bit I didn't talk about yesterday, people forget about the Sebastopol Russian nuclear fleet. Now, do you know, the other day I regretted this. I said Russia only had one nuclear submarine. What I meant was one aircraft carrier. They have plenty of nuclear submarines, so apologies to those of you that heard that and recognised that I got it wrong. But those submarines principally have to be based at Sebastopol in the Black Sea. Now, for you to get out of the Mediterranean, you have to go one of two ways. You either go through the Straits of Gibraltar or you go through the Suez Canal, right? So once again, you have to go past either, how do we say this politely, because it's one of the worst kept military secrets in Britain, whatever we've got inside Gibraltar, right, let's just put it that way, you have to either go past that, whatever that is, question mark, or you have to go past Diego Garcia and what we've got waiting at the Gulf of Aden. That makes, in practice, it virtually impossible for Russia to deploy nuclear submarines without Britain, America and the Allies knowing exactly where they are. The other side, Vladivostok, is just open, so it's very easy to find. Whereas, of course, with Britain, you've got Faz Lane, where you could go out round the south of Ireland or the north of Ireland or through all the islands. Are they the Hebrides? I forget what they are, but the Isle of Skye, all that sort of area. So once again, from a point of view of a global nuclear strike by an enemy of the United Kingdom, the loss of Diego Garcia once again is a military disaster. So I don't understand, Nick, why on earth anybody with any sense would do this. I think that Starmer is either a traitor or a moron, but he has to be one of the two.
Or a combination of both. I have no idea why he's done this. Part of it will be he's ashamed of the British Empire. He's ashamed of colonialism, and he's trying to make amends on behalf of the country. Now, that's foolish.
Yeah.
Another part could be he wants a global government. He wants a global socialist utopia. And the way you do that is you start dismantling powers. The only power he can dismantle is the UK.
Yes.
He looks at China, which is a semi-socialist state, and he probably admires them. He probably admires what their leader can do.
Their ability to control the masses. Because I remember once watching Ken Livingstone talk about the nanny state. And you and me don't see it this way, but Ken Livingstone said, I love the nanny state. And his view was, wouldn't it be brilliant if a group of people, benevolent public servants, were to sit at the top of Britain and tell everybody what to do for their own good? Now, we think of that as silly, but people like Starmer and Ken Livingstone and the rest of them think it's marvellous.
And that's because they think they're better than everybody else.
Yes.
They think if they ruled the world, we would live in paradise.
Yes.
And what they don't realise is Hitler, Stalin, Mao all thought the same as well.
Yes.
Because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
And let's give them the benefit of doubt. Let's say they would be amazing leaders if they had all the power. Let's say they would improve our lives. Let's say that's all true. Who comes after them?
Yeah.
Who comes down the line next?
The other problem you've got is when you lose independent media, independent oversight, independent courts and all that sort of thing, which is what the left tend to move towards, you end up in the position with Vladimir Putin. So if you look at Vladimir Putin, people said, oh, Russia's got the second best army in the world. I think we've now discovered it's got the second best army in Ukraine, right? The first being the Ukrainians. So, but the issue is this. With a lack of oversight that Vladimir Putin has brought into his system, and the Soviet Union had before, but there was a brief period under Gorbachev where there was the sort of scrutiny that perhaps embryologically would have been helpful. The Russian army's poor performance is down to the fact that nobody is able to criticise when things go wrong. So what happens is everybody at every layer of the Russian state now lies to their superiors about how things are going, and there's no media to expose it, there's no independent courts to expose it, and consequently Vladimir Putin is now fighting a war in which he has to assume what his generals are telling him is true, and it's probably not. He is assuming a capability that he doesn't have. And the ultimate example of why this went wrong was Mikhail Gorbachev, who, when Chernobyl blew up, gave up with his own briefings from the Kremlin and began listening to the BBC World Service, because the BBC World Service in an independent country, the United Kingdom, was able to give him more information than his own advisors in Chernobyl were able to do.
Isn't it ironic that only 4 decades ago the BBC was seen as a news reporting station, and people listened to them throughout the world for the truth? How ironic, how much of the BBC fallen, because the people of this country now don't even believe the BBC.
No, it's sad, isn't it?
Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers, I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.